This is an example of using Excel to build a budget for a Camogie club called Chicks with Sticks. So the screen we're currently looking at is based on the scenario whereby you have this Camogie club that has an opening balance of €1,000, and then for each month of the year it takes in the exact same amount of money every month for a number of things like private parties, bar receipts, etc., and then pays out similar amounts of money each month for particular expenses. So the spreadsheet has been built on this basis, and there's a screencast with that example and how it's gone through. So at the end of the example, just to recap on it, what I've done is that every time I've created a formula and then replicated it, I've colored the original formula with a yellow background. So that reminds me of where I created the formula and that I then replicated it. So the 200 here for private parties, I replicated that both down and across to do the remaining calculations for the rest of the year. Anyway, the plan in this screencast is to take it a step further. And what we want to do is to vary the amounts of money each month. So rather than 200 being the private party's amount of money each month, we'll assume it's going to increase by a particular amount. Same with bar receipts, and the same with the various payments. So each month, the amount of money coming in will be increased in the previous month by a constant amount. So what I've done here is I've just given a list of those increases. So what I'm saying is that the private parties is going to go up by €20 each month. So if January was 200, February will be 220, March will be 240, and so on over to December. Similarly with bar receipts going up by 30 each month, and the remaining incomes same way. And likewise, the payments go up each month. Bar staff salaries is going up from 500 in January to 550 in February to 600 in March, and so on across the remaining months. So the easiest way to follow that through in Excel is to take the original spreadsheet, and I'm going to just make a copy of it. So rather than rebuilding it from scratch, I'm going to copy it and then edit the copy. So create a copy. I'll move it over here to the right of the original sheet, and I'm going to call it Q1B. I'm going to remove the number that Excel automatically adds to it. So what I want to do next is I want to clear out a lot of the data that's here. So the values in those cells will be replaced from February onwards. So a lot of values from February onwards need to be replaced by the updated values. So as I said, the amounts of money we take in each month are going to increase. The amount of money we pay out each month is going to increase. I'm going to move over the labels here so to give me a bit of room. And I'm going to go back to the previous sheet and just copy the increase amounts. So there are the receipts and payments. I may as well bring the label with me as well. Go back to part B, paste in the increases. So I'll pop them in here for the minute so they hopefully will align up properly. They don't. So I'm going to go back, undo that, and I think I'm maybe 2 cells out. I'm not sure how far. Okay, so yeah, I'm still not correct. I'll go down one more, and this time it should be in the right place. So there are my monthly increases. I'll just reduce the font to that so it's visible. Reduce to 10. So what I have here, opposite my private parties of 200 for January, the increase amount of 20, and the same with the remaining expenses. So they need to be lined up near their original values so that you can make sense of them. So what needs to happen is the January values are okay. Okay, there's no need to change any of that material, but from February onwards, we need to add in a more complex formula, or more ambitious formula to incorporate the increases. So my February private parties value is going to be equal to my January's private parties value, which is accessed from B25, and it's going to be plus the 20. And again, I have to ask myself, am I just going to fill this to my right, or am I going to fill it at all? Does it need to be filled? Does it need to be replicated? So if it needs to be replicated, you have to ask yourself, will it be replicated down or across or both? And if it's both, you have to be more cautious about what you do. So if I'm filling down, I need my my C cell reference to stay fixed, but I need my 5 to be flexible. So that means I need a dollar sign in front of the C, but no dollar sign in front of my 5. So to achieve that, I'd press F4 a number of times. So my C is needs to be flexible, and my 5 needs to be C needs to be locked rather, and my 5 needs to be flexible, where currently my C is flexible and my 5 is locked. So I need to just vary that to this version. So that's why it becomes B25 plus dollar sign C5. And if I do that, it hopefully, first of all, it tells me that it's 220, which is good. And then if I replicate it across, it needs to go up to 240, 260 all the way across. That's looking good. And then when I fill it down, it needs to adjust itself for the bar receipts values and the other incomes. So the 300 has become 330 because it's gone up by 30, 360 and so on. The 400 has become 440 and the 500 has become 550. So all my totals are now based on the monthly increase values. So all I need to do is color this cell yellow to reflect the fact that, again, I've put in a formula in cell C25 and that's been used then to populate the remaining cells. So the next area I need to target is the payments amounts. So the payments for staff salaries, according to column C, go up by €50 a month, and caretaker salaries go up by 40, and so on. So again, my February figure is going to be based on my January figure plus the increase amount, and the same idea as with the payments, or the receipts rather. The payments, do I need dollar signs? So I need my C to be fixed or locked, and I need my 11 to float or to adjust when I replicate it. So I don't need, if I have a total lock like that, just to demonstrate it, I'll be getting 550 everywhere, which isn't what I want. Or sorry, I've locked the 5, yes, it's everything's going up by 50 rather. Okay, everything's going up by 50 rather than going up by 40, 30, 20. And the same then all the way across, it doesn't behave itself. So it's giving me incorrect totals, so I better undo those two moves and go back to my formula and double click on it and base my cursor on the C11 component of the formula and press F4 the appropriate number of times so that I lock the C and I allow the 11 to float. So the C11 there is floating, or the 11 is floating, the C is locked. The B34 component, the B34 as I fill down needs to become B35, B36, B37. And then as I go across the remaining 11 months, the B needs to become a C, a D, and an E, and so on. That's why the B34 part of the formula remains untouched. So when I fill the formula to my right, or fill it down first of all, it adjusts to bring in the caretaker salaries, the heat, and all of that stuff. And then when I fill it to my right, it increments each month. So the best way to understand all of this is to look at, we'll say, the February formula, where it says equals B34 plus C11. And then if you look at the March formula, it says C34 plus C11. And the April formula says D34 plus D11. So what's happening is the B34 is becoming a C, D, E, etc. because each month we're spending, or in this case for salaries, we're spending €50 more than we did the previous month. So that's the way to actually utilize a proper blend or mix in a formula of, here we have a relative cell address for B34. There's no dollar signs around it. And then we have a partially absolute cell address. So the C part is locked, and the other part, the row 11 component, is allowed float or adjust as we fill across. So I need to just color that cell, give it a yellow background. So now as I look at my spreadsheet, I know by instantly looking at it where I've entered formulae from scratch and then where I've replicated them. So if you're doing spreadsheet work yourself and you want to compare your work to a classmate's work, using this color scheme is a very good way of, at a glance, indicating if the two of you or whoever is working in the little group are using the same approach and are all equally efficient with the use of the formula. So that's the end of the Chicks with Stick intermediate level clip. This is an intermediate level clip rather than a beginner level clip. So I'll just change the label up at the very top. Okay, we've gone from the simple case of where the amount of money each month is constant into a case where the amount of money each month that we spend or that we receive is increasing by a particular amount. So as you can see, all of the opening balances, all the totals, etc. have adjusted or recalculated once I've rebuilt the formulae. So that's the end of this second clip.